Hello. Welcome back.
Hey.
Aren't you looking lovely tonight? We're back with some world building. It's been a minute and it's not Wednesday. My lights are also kind of all fucked up, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
I'm having a lot of technical issues today. It's darker than usual, so 1 second. Maybe.
Look, Des is just in heaven currently. Around a bright light.
I don't think that's better. Is this too dark of a...
It's a very bright forehead.
Look, no, that's not what I'm trying to do. Do I just embrace the light and just go full on?
Look, we'll take our Des in full flashbang.
1 second. I will... Ew, cringe boys. Yes, hello, Kate.
Absolutely cringe. No, we get flashbang Des today. So how is everyone doing today? All of you in chat, how are you? How has your day been? Well, we have a brief technical issue here.
Look, it's too dark of a blue, apparently. I got coffee on my glasses doing that.
Good start to the stream so far.
Good start to the stream.
Hey, that's fantastic. You're doing great.
But
I'm happy to hear it.
But we're back. Yeah. Oh, Fajuk. So donate to your children's hospital races that can donate a bit to you by my own rules. Anyway, Starless elves are the elves that have their kingdom outside the material plane in the realm under. Nowhere. Isn't it PZ a Starless elf? Cal is a Starless elf, and it's the world below. So it's on the prime material.
Yes.
It's on the same planet. It's just down.
It's basically our version of the Underdark.
It is. Yeah.
Just with quite a few tweaks and changes to it.
Look, Fajuk is canonically Fajuk.
Canonically speaking, no one else is Fajuk but Fajuk. But yes, so onto the topic of the stream today. We are talking about the Starless elves.
Bro, I've never seen you so eager to get into a stream. Yes. But no, yeah, we are doing a Starless stream this week. So we're going to talk culture, we're going to talk architecture, we're going to talk like kind of general vibes and diets. This is a topic that me and Raph have, just between the two of us, covered quite a lot. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Dying God. Dark elves, but not racist, except for that part where they are racist.
No, they're not racist.
Wait, no, the Starless elves have never been.
They've never been racist. That's the thing, though, is that every race is accepted so long as you believe in the Dying God.
Yeah,
they're classist. That's the thing there. Yeah, it's like a bit classist, but very sort of...
No, they're a classist society. I don't know the word. 100%.
Very deity-ist, in a sense. Like, depending on who you worship, you'll be accepted. It doesn't matter if you're a tiefling, an elf, a human. If you worship the Dying God, all is cool.
Look, the Dying God, as to quote your mother, perhaps even Zamani can be saved.
Perhaps even Zamani, although...
Paladins would beg to differ. Paladins don't get a decision in the matter. They are betrayers.
Yeah, that was their horrific choice they made centuries ago. And they will have to bear the burden of their sins.
Look, what can you do? Some elves just are better than others.
Look, some elves are just built different, Some didn't betray their rightful creator and lord.
Canonically racist towards the Paladins.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, fuck the Paladins.
Yes. Fuck the Paladins. All me and my homies hate the Paladins.
Paladins aren't open content. By the time we release a book, they have to be wiped off the face of the realm.
Oh fuck! It's true though. It's true.
It's true. They're getting gone the way of copyright, so they're dead.
Yeah. So Des, where should we start with this stream? Do you think?
God, where would you start with this stream? Because we can start with Agent Alexander. We can start with Capital. Duke donated another $10. Very, very gamer. How did the Stardust treat other elves? Is the world below connected to the Shadow Realm at all, like in the Forgotten Realms? No, it is not. Do the Stars elves remember the other old gods? Some will get into that. That is a good question. Can somebody be saved? Anyone can be saved by the Dying God. And does the Dying God have warlocks? Raph, does the Dying God have warlocks?
No, that is why I'm playing a cleric.
No, Raph is a warlock. Raph is
Yes,
sorry,
I'm playing
Cinder's a
warlock.
warlock. Yeah, the Dying God select
Raph
few,
is a
and
warlock.
we're actually about to see spoiler warning for last week and something coming up next week. We are going to see another of the warlocks that the Dying God has had. It is dangerous to be a warlock to the Dying God because you will start to lose your whole mind. Raph is a warlock too. Raph is a warlock to me.
Yes. Yes.
I'm his patron.
Pact of the Des. Pact of the Des.
Back to the Zaddy. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. The moment it left my lips.
Why would you say that on stream? Okay, someone out there, can you please clip that? Can you please just clip that a little bit? I'll be forever.
Okay, you heard the man. Back to the Zaddy, yeah. It's like, I'm on it. But no,
but yes. So to go back on a few of those other points,
I suppose let's start with how we'll treat these questions first. So, our world below is technically it's connected to the pathways to all the realms, like the roots do run through it. There is even some root forests in the world below where it's just all the roots of the woad running through it. But there is no. Our realm does actually have a shadow realm. We don't have a Shadowfell. We have the Shadow Fae. We have the dark side of the Feywild, and we have the plane of negative energy, but there is no Shadow Realm specifically. So it isn't connected specifically. It's actually closer connected to the elemental plane of Earth and the prime material, because below it is the elemental plane of Earth.
Yes. And in some places quite connected to the elemental plane of fire, where it borders to sort of volcanoes.
Volcano, yeah, like absolutely. To answer, do Starless elves remember other old gods? They know of them. They know of the War of the Gods that is tormented the Ocean, and everyone in the setting knows of other old gods because we have the Farwalker. If you remember from Thiel, that's where that city was set up. Or you have the Eye of Ruin in the middle of Lake Headspire. The Starless don't really care so much for other ones, as it wasn't information that was parted with them, so to speak. They know they exist. They
but
they don't know the hierarchy and the family trees of the old gods.
For them that was very much something on the other side of the world that they left behind.
Thanks,
when
Cade.
they went with the Dying Gods.
Thanks for the clip.
Cade, thank you so much. I love you. So for them that was very much something they left behind when they came across with the Dying God, and just them and the Dying God. That was
because they were Star
Elves. Because they were Star Elves, exactly. And through the passage of time and through basically separation from other Star Elves and from other old gods, worship of them has completely faded away. But even now, though, like with the Eye of Ruin and with the Farwalker, they definitely have a level of respect. They see them as being gods and worthy of worship and respect, but they themselves do not.
It's not their god.
Worship them.
So
it's not
let's
their
talk in.
The part there that I wanted to potentially touch upon, I think is a good starting point, which is the Starless on other elves, because that goes into the history of the Starless.
Yeah, so that's how exactly I was going to start with how they lost their stars.
Yes.
That is not updated, Kate. How could you do that? You do moderate this channel. That's your tag. How can you not edit these commands? That's SMH. Just gaslight Kate. It's Kate's fault.
Cade, this is your responsibility, okay? We set you on this path.
Yeah, but you know what? Speaking of Nightbot, we do have something to talk about. We do have a new command on Nightbot. Our new Patreon command. Because we have D in December. We announced it there, just shame. It's not at the end of the stream. It's always inconsistent now. We're going to be doing D in December, which is what I'm cleverly coming up with a name. We're releasing a subclass and a race every week for the week of December. So keep eyes on the Patreon. You only have to be on the $5 a month tier and above. I'm pretty sure everyone in this call already knows about it in this little chat we have going right now. But now I'm getting used to shilling about it, and I will be doing this a lot. But yes, the Starless Elves, every 5 minutes. Hey, Corsair's Cove, how you guys doing?
Hey.
Yo, just as I'm shilling, what's up? How are my nerds?
Welcome.
What were you guys were doing some Humblewood, weren't you? I believe
That's
so.
humble.
That's pretty humble of you. Let's
Good to have you all here, though. How did the stream go?
Explain D&D, yeah. How'd it go? What's new with you guys? We're talking some Starless Elves. We're doing Rast's favourite topic. I've drank already almost a litre of cold brew, so my voice is only going to start speeding up. But watch this. A litre of cold brew, I can get a 2-hour stream done in 45 minutes. You peasants out here doing 60 seconds a minute. I'm here at 55 seconds a minute. The elves are starless and fatherless. You are correct.
Yes.
But
yes.
how did Humblewood go? What's up? How is everything with you guys? Tell us what you do. Tell us how it went. I'm cold. So am I, Bandit King. I was trying to wear a jumper, but it was too dark for stream, so I'm now just cold. I'm
hot.
You are hot. Darian, Brendan, 2-player Humblewood game, and we won D&D. Nice. How much did you pay for that?
I'm still looking to win my first D&D game.
Same. I'll let you know when it happens. But
they've had a few TPKs.
I am on the 1 second per hour, motherfuckers. I'm very old. Yo, I feel that at a spiritual level.
Yeah.
There were tears. Oh, that's good.
Oh,
making players cry is how the DM wins D&D.
Happy tears or sad tears?
Or fake tears.
Or
fake tears. Are they crocodilian?
Or fake tears.
I've only finished a campaign once. I have finished a few campaigns. And I've killed a few campaigns. TPK'd, but it's got to the stage where I try and track how many campaigns we've had now, and it just becomes Des will never beat me because I cannot cry. It's difficult to make someone cry when they've no tears left to cry. But
facts, but that still hurts to hear.
It hurts to hear. It hurts, but you will cry.
Absolutely in shambles.
But yeah, so I'm glad the D&D went well. We are hits that boof. Yeah. I'll do it just for you, Kate. I feel like there should be a crocodilian PC race with the ability crocodile tears. Is there not a crocodile race? Lizard folk, make one.
No.
Easy.
Yeah, there you go.
Just make it a lizard folk. Proficiency deception. That'd be funny. So yeah, we are trying to talk about the Starless elves, and what they originally were was Star Elves, the first race of our setting. The first one's born of the old gods. I'm too slow typing. Yes, you are cringe. But the Star Elves, they came over with the Dying God because our realm, our prime material, has two sides to it. Durapidon and Quenthus, as they've become to known in modern eras of their respective sides of history. And on Durapidon's side, the old gods were fighting versus the young giants, and the Dying God specifically decided to take his own forces of humanity and go over and say, I can do it myself. I don't need the help of all the other old gods. I am as strong as all of you are together. This will be my purpose. And then promptly went to the side of Quenthos and got, as was now made aware, even on the map of the world, it now sits as a permanent reminder. There is the Shatters, where the Dying God, Kyle, what up, my guy, here hitting me with the Wilk. I do.
Kyle, how you go?
Can you make Wilk with Scotch? Because I do have Scotch. Scotch is a whiskey, isn't it?
Look, it is whiskey. Scotch is a Scotch whiskey.
It is.
I've Wilk as well. Oh, I have whiskey and I have milk, so technically we get a 2
Yeah, mine would be a soy Wilk. I'd be a soy boy with my Wilk.
Soy Wilk, God.
Skilk.
Cursed. Absolutely cursed.
$10 again from Shoot. 3 out of 3. Pact of the Zaddy funding go. Yo, let's go. That I'll make a tier on Patreon that's just like super ridiculous, and it's just Pact of the Zaddy. Anyways, why is Calicindia a Stardust elf? Would she still have the same mindset if she was reincarnated? What is a Star Elf? Why is Anna the race she is? Des, Raf, K, Daria, Jen are awesome. Correct.
Yes. What questions then on that?
We're not even done your first question, so you're really just hampering out these. But thank you so much for the donos. It's nice to be back, and it's great to see you all here.
Can we actually, Des, on the Google Doc we opened up, just type down the questions so we can actually go through them.
I'll do that. I will start answering these questions as you answer them. Sorry, you write them down. I will answer them. So,
okay, can you repeat? Yeah, just repeat them to me so I can write them down.
I forgot you don't have. Wait, in the moderator dashboard, you should be able to see all this. Oh no, this is on Streamlabs. Never mind. 1 second, I will send. It'd be great if I could copy and paste from Streamlabs, but I can't. So, first one, do the Star Elves have their kingdom outside of the material plane in the realm under? So is there... That's a quick one answer I can answer. All their territories lie within the world below, our version of the Underdark. Next questions. Is the world below connected to a shadow realm? No, we already answered that. Do the star selves remember the old gods? We answered that. Can somebody be saved? Simple, yes. Anyone can be saved with the dying god. And can the dying god have warlocks? Yes, we've done that one as well.
Absolutely.
Then part 3. So we've got, why is Calasandra a Starless elf? Well, Calasindir is Ross' character, and I believe it is a he, not a she. Would Calasindir still have the same mindset of reincarnated? Yeah, it's something that Calasindir as an elf has had for hundreds of years. That was raised with. It is the culture. It's not as if a starless elf was born and for some reason adopted kind of like Drist, I can't remember the pronunciation, into a different culture. They wouldn't have the same mindset. It's an ingrained culture. It's his life that he has led up to this point, and that's why he acts this way. So it wouldn't matter. But why is Calasindir a star elf? Because Wrath is a simp for lore. And
because Starless are very interesting and very cool. And
why is Anna the race she is? Anna is a hexblood because her family is connected to the Feywild in a weird and wonderful way. Pact of the Zaddy funding, go. Yep, 100%. Glad that got brought up after the raid happened. We're mature.
Yes, reasonable individuals.
But let's talk a little bit about this. So Star Elves are Star Elves, but Starless Elves are Starless because they lost their stars. As we're talking, there was the Jotun executioner Egregi, who shattered the mortal form of the dying god. Rip. It happened. These things happen.
It did happen. It
does be happening. So as the dying god got shattered, obviously they had a different name before that, but that is a name. Also, the dying god's name was something that was lost with the shattering. The Starless deemed it that they were. I know you want it to be. But the Starless elves, there was 2 factions that split off of that in our setting. One became what the stat block is the Pallid elves. Which did not choose to worship. They tried to find their own way in life. And the Starless, the ones who chose to give up the stars in their eyes, they fled underground to flee the Jotuns, to try and hide in the world below and develop a civilization and a city that can someday hopefully fight back and look for the shards, these pieces of the dying god that got sent all throughout the realm. Don't know why the Starless didn't just go find their stars, but I mean, just look up foreheads. I know, but Kate, remember they're underground. There is no stars up. But even if all my questions are answered, goodbye. That is a way to exit. Goodbye.
Thank you for calling in.
We did answer all your questions, but thank you for calling in. It's great to see you.
Also, Kate says above there, there's leaking cows at least a couple of 100 years old. Look, maybe.
Calasindir is at least a couple 100 years old.
Yes.
But speaking of the Starless elves, so they lost their stars because they specifically chose to give them up, and they also stopped referring to the dying god by their pre-shattered name, as it was not a name that they deserved to utter, as they could not prevent the death of the dying god. Boomer Cal confirmed. Correct. So they fled underground and they founded a city. Founded is a word, I think. I believe. Hello, time zone appropriate greetings. Hello, Nathan. Time zone appropriate greeting to you too.
How are you going over there? Also, Des, do you have the wrong Word doc open for the stream? Because what I'm typing in is not showing up.
No, it's showing up. I didn't minimize the screen by accident. You minimized the screen by accident. Sure. Gaslight, girl boss.
Let's go with that.
Just they founded the. That sounds wrong. They established.
They founded. Yeah, founded.
It just for some reason sounds wrong in my mind. But they founded the glory that is Ishinhar Exandir, the Crystal Citadel, the jewel below, which became and is still the oldest city in Quenthian civilization. I know it's a word, Nathan. It just for some reason coming out of my mouth. I don't know if it's because I've said it too much times now that it's just stopping to sound like a word.
I get that.
Wine and milk is rose wilk. Yeah, look, I had rosé and you missed your opportunity, Kyle. What can I say? Gotta be faster next time. But that being said, we've had Raft drink wilk, which was great fun.
That was good fun. And look, we are both willing to do it again for a price.
For a price. We'll name our price when people are interested. But
yeah.
That being said, there is a certain culture that developed. You bring that up many streams, Kyle. That's called semantic saturation. When you say a word so much, it doesn't sound like a word. I did not know that.
That's very cool.
That's really cool. You learn something new every day. Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah.
But no, so the Starless then developed culture that was worshipping and trying to, $5 subs or $5 dono preferably. Or Patreon, because great time to talk about it. We are doing a Patreon thing. Easy submission. So if you subscribe to the Patreon, like a cool gamer, we're doing D in December, where for every week during the month of December, we are going to be releasing a subclass and a race. Some official Elder Scrolls content for 5e. It's really cool, and all you have to do is subscribe for the $5 a month tier or up. If you want to get it higher tiers, that's cool, but you only need the minimum tier on the Patreon to get access to it. It's very gamer. Every 15 minutes, I'm on the dot. I'm ready to go. I've had a liter of cold brew, and I'm good.
But Des, imagine if you mix that cold brew with whiskey.
Yeah. There'd have to be cold brew left. But no, so it began a culture in the Starless of a few royal houses and like the most loyal and apt followers of the Dying God becoming the leaders of the civilization and like journeying through the world below. And the main thing is you got DMing permissions back for your D&D. Good job, Kyle. You can now introduce them to Wilk again and lose your DMing permissions. But they lost the Stars and Eyes. That was and spent many years below, starting to build up a civilization that is readying itself for a fight back against the Jotuns. They did not participate in the 300-year war, as they didn't really deem themselves ready against the Jotuns, and they weren't really affected by it either. So it was,
And I think it's very important to look at as well for the Starless that, due to the immeasurable losses sustained, like it wasn't just like they simply fell back, went underground, that was it type of thing. Like they were retreating from an army of giants intent on destroying them, enslaving them, wiping them out. They suffered incredible losses in those few, probably decades initially after the Dying God's death, and then going back into the world below, which is an incredibly hostile and dangerous place that, once again, like the founding of a city like Asian Alexandria, I doubt was a very easy process. And once again, they would have been a very harsh struggle to set it up in those initial decades.
Absolutely. And then you also have all the other races of humanity that got brought over with the Dying God that didn't flee, or some of them did flee to the world below. So there is like other more than just Starless in the world below in Asian Alexandria, like few, but not like their predominant race would be that. But you'd have everything else that did become like nomadic and eventually did get enslaved by the Jotuns. But they began a culture of trying to research and figure out, trying to look into ways to bring an old god back. That is what the entire focus of the Starless has been, and their culture as a whole has been ruled by a few I think 2 families since its founding. Yes. Let me just get my information up. This is I'm not able to just pull the original founding family's name off the top of my head. Gorzail, I have it right here.
Gorzail?
Yes, pulled it up. I pulled it. So House Gorzail, and then when they eventually died out, unfortunately, the throne passed to House Thalkalzir, which is what Calasindir is part of. And a couple generations, I think, dates back. Would there be any political factions within the Star Elves that don't want to bring the god back to life? There probably would be, but not because of, I want to get the name correctly, the Isenhal Inquisition would very quickly and with utmost disdain stomp those out, because that is treason to the Starless Kingdom of Alexandria.
Not wanting to bring the Dying God back goes against all ingrained.
That would be treason. In their country, that is treason
as well. Yeah, and it's not just treason as well. It goes against generations, over millennia of traditions and cultural practices they've set up.
Yeah,
that it would start very small, and it would be very difficult to off. Like that is like the fundamental.
Yeah, that is like
of Starless society is the return of the Dying God, which is the whole saying of until the stars return, which was their saying. Even in like the darkest of times, the stars will return.
Yeah.
That even though
their
through hardship and pain and whatever, it is the stars will still return. So yeah, I think like there may have been in the past.
I think there has, but none of them have ever been made public. The Ishinhal Inquisition, which Calisander was a part of, and I don't think he probably would have dealt with it. There is some heretics, like even the worship of other gods within Ishinhal Exandir is like, you will be arrested, questioned, and possibly put to the sword.
Here's what I'm curious about, though. If you had a worshipper of, say, the Eye of Ruin come through, because that's not someone like an ascended god, that's another one of the Dying God's kin. So I imagine it would be not encouraged, but it would be tolerated. Like, you wouldn't be allowed to set up a church to the Eye of Ruin, but you wouldn't be persecuted for worshipping the Eye of Ruin. Because it's not like Solelio or Zephican.
And we got another donor from Pajit there. Shit, forgot an important question. Not watching the stream, so we'll have to watch the upload on YouTube. Woot, YouTube. Can a paladin keep their powers if the god they worship completely changed their viewpoint without changing how they worship? It would depend on the god if they were petty enough to take them, but I would say, depending on the theme in the campaign, I would not shy away from taking away a paladin's powers.
Yeah. Which is a great character opportunity.
But that being said, I would just turn them into an Oathbreaker who can use Oath-breaking powers like we saw with in our game, Althea. I wouldn't take away their powers. I just give them Oathbreaker powers.
Yeah. Also, Nathan there asks a very interesting question, which is, would there be any factions that disagree on the belief in relation to the way in which the god will return? I think so, yes.
Absolutely. Yes. There is, like, even what Calisander is doing right now is considered like a taboo. So, for example, Nathan, in our mainline game, Kingslayers, Wrath plays Calisander, a Starless elf who is trying to find and assemble the shards of the Dying God, literally find the pieces that remain in the world, like actual parts of his like core, like chakras or whatever you want to call them. Because we talked about this a little bit off stream, and like mechanically out of character, we know that there is 7. And it's based on like all the 7 chakras of the body, what they're meant to be, relate to what the Dying God would have. So that's not known in game, but there is the knowledge, like the hope or the knowledge that like if those were reassembled, there would be the possibility to bring it back. And the Dying God has put forward prophets before, but the weight of this power most of the time warps their mind beyond repair. And we even see with Calisander's last game was having some really bad visions that are like not good for his psyche. And there's but there is some people that would think that the shards are the dead body and there needs to be a new body. Like, we need to find a new vessel for the Dying God. There is like, different approaches to it.
Yeah, and I think most theological debates that take place within Starless society isn't so much whether or not the Dying God should return, but more so how should the Dying God return and how should we be a part of that. I imagine there would be some that would see directly involving themselves would be taboo and almost akin to heresy, whereas others like Calisander see themselves as needing, almost like required to play a role in the return. Like, they need to be active in returning.
Nate asked a good question as well. So Calisander is going to become the avatar of the Dying God. That is not what I believe Calisander thinks will happen. So Calisander would probably fall under the belief that once all the shards are brought back together, because they're all scattered around, that there's the camp of belief that he would lie in is that if the shards all return, the power that they exude would almost be like, think Yu-Gi-Oh! Assembling Exodia. It would like almost magnetically put itself back together, and it would. So the theory, so to talk of the camp that Calisander falls under, because they know the Dying God is going mad, because Calisander literally used the prophets, like it shattered the mind and body, and there's the theory that if you can get the pieces back together, it can And we've even seen a moment in-game where the Dying God's mind gets focused for a brief moment and he's able to do great things in the material realm. So if all the shards are assembled, it can give him enough of a focal point to step back in.
Yes.
I don't think Calicindia thinks he's going to become an avatar of the Dying God, does he?
No. Calicindia sees himself forever being a
prophet,
a voice, a prophet, a voice of the Dying God, a means by which he can conduct his business on the material plane without a body, but not an avatar in that place. Well, yeah, let's put it, a prophet of the Dying God is how he sees himself.
I have a question though. If Calicindia was asked, would he give up his body to be an avatar for the Dying God?
Yes.
Oh, I love the no hesitation. Yes, Calicindia, unwavering faith.
He would. That like 100%. That's like the core,
the best honor, like
part. The core part of Calicindia's character. There's a few, but one of the major parts is faith, and faith in the Dying God. So absolutely. Okay, that's an interesting question there. What if it doesn't click back together? Are there factions that take a darker approach? I think in that case, it
hasn't happened yet, but it could.
Yeah, if all the shards were put back together, yes, I imagine that would bring about a massive rethinking of everything that a lot of people have held true, and I think there would be a lot of Starless that would take a darker turn. That we've assembled the shards.
Only one shard has ever been found, though, so far.
Yeah.
And that was by Calicindia's uncle, Irazilic. So that being said, the shard, Irazilic started to use the power and went literally mad with power and fled because the Starless people didn't want him using the power, because in our setting, old gods are what make magic work in the setting. It's literally something that their body exudes as a natural thing. And being so close to a shard gives you a lot of power. But it also can drive you mad, and yes. I can't talk about the stats. I have the shard stat out, but within the next like 3 to 4 sessions, Calicindia will be facing off against his uncle Irazilic to try and reclaim that shard. And Calicindia, in theory, also knows the location of a second and third shard, so he has gone further than anyone else has before. Which will be very interesting.
He will go down in history as the greatest of all stars.
Or he will die but a failure.
Or the worst. You die but a failure, or he will go down as the worst of all stars.
Yeah.
The paths lie open.
Kyle says, if I roll above 13, can we revolt? I mean, I revolt, and then rolls a 4. Get back in your box, Kyle. Behave.
Get back in the box with your die corgis. Cade, it was like if Cal died in that fight. Look, I think I would actually cry if Cal died in that fight.
If Cal died in that fight, at least it is a fight that he was putting his life on the line to try and do.
Yes. I mean, look,
it would be heart-wrenching.
However, I think I would be broken if Cal died in that fight. That is, yeah, I
look, you literally went out and you ordered dice specifically for this because you don't trust your old dice.
Yes, because I want better dice for this. So I want a new set of dice.
Yeah, because your dice roll shit lately. You're really going in onto that like tinfoil hat. Get some rap friends in chat.
I wanted a more Calicindia inspired dice set as well.
I would feel really bad, but I also think Raph knows that if I went into this and it was anything but a deadly fight, I would be pulling punches.
I mean, you can pull punches there. It's like in this fight.
Please, target everyone. Look, here's the thing. Calicindia, technically, everyone else died in that vision before you.
That is true. That is true.
If it doesn't work the way Calicindia wants, would that be his breaking point? Calicindia, I'm going to keep this a book. Calicindia's breaking point might come much before that.
Look, it wouldn't take much for Calicindia to hit his breaking point, honestly. It's just more. It's more also how, like, what would the actions of his breaking point be, and what type of things would that bring about? I mean, it depends. And by that, you mean if he doesn't reach the shard, or something happens to the shard? Yes. Yes.
Technically speaking, if Calicindia uses like the shard as much as Eero as well, Irazilic, that could break his mind. Like, would he be strong enough? No, you can't try and revolt again. You can get it once per stream, Kyle. Back in your box.
Back in your box. Back in your box.
Breaking point is whatever a string of a Warhammer is. Yeah, look, bet.
Look, fair.
Didn't know you named your Warhammer. Didn't know you named your Warhammer Zamani.
Cow's number one weakness.
A pretty face.
But yeah, that's a very interesting question actually about the breaking point. But I think just to go back a bit to the overall Starless, as we were talking about, what were we discussing before we got distracted?
We're talking about their cultural views and how they view the Dying God. And I think with this questions that have come through, thank you everybody, because this is really they're zealous people. Like they're very much so. Like I think the best way you can describe it is it's an entire culture that's indoctrinated into this way of thinking. It is from birth. The country to its core is ruled like this. Imagine he just tries making a meat body and cramming the shards in it. A meat body. I think you could have just said a body.
A body, but no.
Yeah, but what if Calisindr... Okay? So there is other old gods in the realm of existence that we're on. What if Calisindr tried to bring the shards to them to try and like assault them with the shards so the Dying God could take over their old one bodies?
Okay, hear me out there. Calisindr collects all 7 shards. Nothing happens. Finds the Eye of Ruin. Like, okay, you want to repent? You want to redeem yourself for those crimes you committed? Here are these shards. Like, put them into yourself.
I don't think Calisindr would act quickly regardless. Even if Calisindr goes mad and loses his mind, I think we see Calisindr... Because Calisindr is a researcher from the get-go. And I think we would see that come out 100%. It would just fall into that.
It would be a very slow... Like, it would be a very... twisted, in a sense, but very slow, planned descent, I think you would see.
Obviously, you need to give the shards to the Lord of the Decay. Absolutely, Nate. I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of zealous, obviously a zealot barbarian can come back from the dead for free because their god said again. Alright, this one's on me. Would a zealot come back more mentally broken each resurrection? If they were of the Dying God, yes. 100%. I know a few guys who could get them back. Look, there's a couple people out there. There's a couple people out there that are working for the Lord of Decay that are capable of such things. Reading aloud, thank you for the follow. Very cool of you.
Thank you so much. Good to have you here.
We're getting a lot of good stuff done about the Starless today. This is stuff we know though. This is all very much so known information to us. Can't forget the most important one, Raf, and putting all our links in chat. We have a Patreon link now because we're doing D&D December every week, and for each week of the month of December, 5 weeks total, we are releasing a subclass and a race. Only $5 a month if you want to subscribe to that. There is 2 announcements on the Patreon already that show a College of the Brass Lungs Bard, which myself and Cade worked on, and the Stress Night Fighter, which Cade solo boloed out himself.
One on to you, Cade.
15 on the dot. Yo.
Look, I was gonna actually say though, instead of running ad breaks at the moment, we should just run Patreon breaks.
No, you know we do. We record the cheesiest skit for the Patreon with you, me, and Cade, and then we just put that on the ad break.
Can we?
No, because that would actually work for ads on Twitch. We'd have to pay for that ad to go up on Twitch, and I don't think we have that sort of money.
We record that, but we put in the intermission of our Monday games.
That would be funny.
I mean, it's not a terrible idea.
Not a terrible idea. Look, we're stupid enough to do it. I don't think we're not. But yeah, we were talking breaking points. And Nathan, thank you so much. I love exploring the idea of breaking points and characters. So do I. I think this stuff's really interesting. We do a really roleplay heavy thing. I'm only here for the shilling. Well, Nanabear, are you subscribed to our Patreon? Because did you know on Patreon during the month of December, for every week of the month of December, we will be releasing a subclass and a race.
Minutes, not 15 seconds.
Look, I'll do it every minute if I gotta. Before I was like, oh, I don't want to shill. This is like we're doing a big content, which this is like work put in by you, me, and Cade, and like, you know, it has me 15. All right, Cade, hit me up on Discord when the next one is. I'll do it in 15. I'll do it in 15. Thank you, Nate, for appreciating my true genius. But yeah, so we're talking Starless. What we're trying to before I shill. I'm literally just going to name the next world building stream Shilling for Patreon, and that'll be it. But that being said, we're talking Starless, and we talked a little bit about the Inquisition. What is Ijanhar Inquisition? No, Ijanhar Exandir. What's the name? Ijar Canal Inquisition? What's the name of the Inquisition fully again? Or was it just the Ijanhar Inquisition?
It's just the Ijanhar Inquisition. I'm trying to actually... Let me just look here for a second.
Because I have something written down, the Ijar Canal Inquisition.
I don't have the...
I think just calling it the Ijanhar Inquisition is... Because it's Ijanhar Exandir, the Ijanhar Inquisition makes sense.
Yeah. We had... Like, when I was working on the Inquisition, I did find... I think I started to think of...
No, because I have the name. It's the Ijar Canal Inquisition, but that just doesn't roll off the tongue very well.
Yeah. I think just the Ijanhar Inquisition is what works best.
Yeah. But the Ijanhar Inquisition, that is literally an organization that is the military and magicians of the realm. The clerics, everything you could find that is the Inquisitors, the ones that pretty much rule post, Queen's orders, is the Inquisition. And specifically, every Starless is very deeply devoted country, because regardless of sex, once a Starless elf reaches 100 years old, they have to go under their Kars Unvir, which is a military draft. Everyone got to do it. No one's exempt. Even the queen, even the crown queen, it's like even Ross character Calicindir as the crown prince, he had to do the Kars Unvir. 15 years mandatory military service against the #1 enemy currently of the Starless elves, the Empire of Ghouls. 15 years to delve deep into the world below.
Yes. Going through the most horrendous opponents and terrain and everything down there.
Also, we were talking about people who don't worship the Starless elves, and we did have a note about this before. So there is actually, for someone who is caught blaspheming the dying god, there is there is the Kars Ikorin, which is 300 years of service.
Yes, it's a bit more extreme. Like, it's someone who has utterly done something so heretical and deplorable against the dying god will be sentenced to this, because there is a chance, you can, if it's like something else, then you can redeem yourself out of the mess. This is like an extreme measure taken for serious heretics and the like.
Mind you, you can refuse it. You can refuse it.
Your eyes will be taken out.
Your eyes are taken out and you're banished from the city to wander the world below.
Yeah, which is basically a horrible death sentence.
That is a death sentence. They are mole people, Kyle. You're right.
Yes, if you accept it, then that is 300 years in service.
Which you are redeemed after, but still, that is that is a long time.
Absolution. Yep. And that essentially, should you survive, then it was by the dying god's will and grace that you were redeemed.
Okay, more leaks. What do you mean more leaks, Kate? Wait, Cal the leaser. Imagine if Calicindir was a heretic turned zealot. That would be so interesting.
That would be spicy. But no. Look, Calicindir. Okay, there's two. So there's the Kars Ikorin, which is the Legion of Absolution, the 300 years redemption, and then there's the Kars Unvir, which is the 15 years military service.
Yeah. Calicindir told you all about his Kars Unvir, but never Calicindir. I don't think Calicindir in characters ever mentioned a Kars Ikorin.
No, I don't think, because he's never really come up. He never really brought it up.
Look, no one asks Calicindir what it's like down there.
Yeah, I think there's been one question, which was how do you get salt down there?
But it's funny because, ironically, there is actually a major tenet of the dying god's faith. It's helping others. So anyone who is found in the world below, lost in the world below, that are found by Starless scouting parties, they are rescued and brought to Ijanhar Exandir, and they help with them, and they're allowed to stay as long as they work to the betterment of the city, which, if they stay long enough, they get titled the Azaria, which is the Starless word for the found below.
Yes. Which is essentially Yeah, so basically, like, if you're a traveler lost in the world below and Starless come across you, they'll help you out. They'll send you on your way. You return to the surface. However, if you show an interest and an inclination towards the Dying God and Starless, then you are permitted to stay, and you're allowed to become an Azaria.
Nate asked a very good question. What are the tenets of the Dying God?
That is very interesting.
It's also a point for debate, like, because
it is a point for debate, because that's the thing, is that there are a lot of interpretations of the Dying God and what his will is, especially considering that in his current state, the bits that are communed to his followers are relatively incoherent, and don't
there is
exactly
some common themes. There is some common themes.
Yes.
Like unity among the Starless and Elves is a big one.
Yes.
Unity. I'm trying to think of a fancier word for helping others. Selflessness is a big one.
Yes.
Like just trying to like help other people, and like protectors of the realm is a big one. One second, I have more common themes. I just need to pull them up by different things.
Another one as well is to almost sort of serve as the advancement of, I guess, what is commonly labeled in Quenthos as humanity, the forces of the old gods, to serve as the advancement as that, the vanguard of humanity, so to speak.
What happens if the Starless come across an outsider with visions of the Dying God? Would they be welcomed? If they can confirm those visions, or at least try and look into them a little bit, they would be. That would be prime candidate for an Azaria to be found below.
Yes, that would be an Azaria who would be sort of welcomed into, like, okay, you want to like become a priest because you can train to become one, because that'd be great. You've clearly been touched and blessed.
But the Inquisition would heavily look into this person to try and find out if they're faking it. And if you were faking it, by God, you'd be killed. But specifically, priests like that with the training, they would go to the wroth temple, which is the main church of the Dying God, the largest temple to the Dying God, and any who join the priesthood learn here. It sits in the lake it shares its name with, the wroth Lake.
Yes. Which I also think as well, like, the Dying God is more than just, the deity for the Starless. It's a point of cultural, it's like the cultural bindings for them, essentially. The belief and the worship of the Dying God, and a means of unity, which is incredibly important. There are some really popular.
Are the followers of the Dying God warlocks because he's dead, or are there clerics as well? There are clerics, paladins, and warlocks, but they're few and far between, because for the Dying God to focus and grant powers to his followers, it costs a lot of strain, because the Dying God's mind is fractured and scattered. So trying to form a cohesive thought and do it. Calisandra researched for years how to enact this ritual to become a warlock. So in fact, most
priests
are wizards.
Most priests are wizards, or basically just regular priests. They're not clerics. They don't have any real powers. They're just priests, in the same sense that we have priests in our Ruid. Like, they're not clerics. They don't have any special abilities.
So any chance that Merkestiel could become a cleric of the Dying God? I agree with Kate. I don't think Merc would ever do that.
Look, even the chance of Merkestiel starting to follow another ascended god, I don't know if that would happen either.
No, I don't think so. In theory, if the Dying God were to come back to full consciousness and Merkestiel witness the benevolent power of the Dying God, I could see it happening. But it's a super, Merkestiel would probably be already 20 levels deep in a cleric to other gods at that point.
Yes. And I think it'd be interesting, though. Yeah, look, what if the whole party just became loyal to the Dying God?
They already are.
I think it'd be very interesting, though, if Merkestiel... imagine this, if Merkestiel's still alive and the Dying God returns, and Merkestiel defies the Dying God, and Calisindra and Merkestiel force defiance.
Oh, could you imagine just a party trying to turn on Calicindia after getting a few shards?
I was going to say that would be almost a very interesting post-campaign, like mini-campaign type of thing. Down the line, he's collected like 3 or so, and we're going in for a 4th. He's called everyone back together, got their help, and then they start to notice, things are potentially wrong. Like they clearly see a different side to him. They try to stop him.
Sorry, you mean when the Dying God returns? Of course. Sorry, Nate. Sorry.
Of course.
When I see you are a true follower of our Lord and Savior, the Dying God.
Look, it makes me happy to see another one out there.
Also, Nathan, if the Dying God's mind... You can go, right?
Okay. If the Dying God's mind is fractured, can that affliction pass on to those who take on the powers bestowed by the Dying God? Absolutely. Calicindia is going mad.
That's literally a mechanic that we are going to be playing with, is Calicindia's mind slowly fracturing throughout this campaign. Sanity is a real issue for those who worship the god of the Starless, the Dying God. It's dangerous, the mind, if you try and gleam into madness, because one thing that Wrath's character struggles with every night is he has visions of the death of the Dying God. The visions he gets most of the time are just... he must have got up to it. Are literally visions of the death, and we've even had them in game where... Yeah. Calicindia experiences almost on a nightly basis the death of the fear that is bestowed upon a great old one that knows no fear but death itself.
Essentially, like not just witnessing the event, but
experiencing the emotions.
Experiencing the emotions, being empathetic towards the Dying God at that moment and directly feeling it. So no, absolutely. Like Calicindia works very hard to just maintain a very cold and calculated.
Zamani got affected by the Dying God once.
Yes.
And that was...
Yes.
She literally started to see the world break up around her, the world just fracturing.
Yeah. Which is almost what he also witnesses quite often, especially in more situations of stress and pressure, where he's unable to keep it together. Yeah, thanks to Flo. But yeah, in moments where he's unable to keep it together quite as much, that's when he starts to witness it as well, very much, simply because he's practiced to try and stop himself from experiencing this. But in moments of, as I said, stress and pressure, to witnessing reality cracking and, breaking apart and visions appearing before him around people.
We also have Reading Aloud said... Can I play Anthem track? Can I play with Madness by Iron Maiden? Absolutely, that is so on brand. And Kyle, can I roll to get a Discord channel called Cosbox? I mean, I'll give it to you, my guy. If you want it, I'll give it to you. It'll just be a random channel called Cosbox. But I'll do it after. Remind me after. Man's got some issues.
Have some issues.
Calicindia has issues. I think the story that we are experiencing in Kingslayers with Calicindia is a story of a chosen prophet walking down a very dangerous path, and we're literally in the next few sessions we're going to see what another chosen prophet was, and then what they lost.
Yes. Which I think is going to be very, very interesting. So once, hopefully, once people actually get a bit more into Calicindia and just go more into the reasoning and how everything happened and why everything happened, because there's a lot more to it that also drives him forwards.
He's a multifaceted and deep individual.
It's almost in a way I created Calicindia in a way to almost embody a lot of aspects of the Starless. I wanted a character that was very much able to embody and reflect a culture in existence in the world and not just simply be from that place type of thing. So I think Calicindia is a very good reflection onto the Starless, in regards to very much a stubbornness and a resilience, but also very much refusal to change, refusal to adapt.
So, good question. So, do the Stardust facilitate or foster that madness, or do they have therapists? Most of them don't experiencing it. So it's very few are chosen or capable of harnessing the Dying God's thoughts, and it's trying to glean knowledge from the madness. They don't try and interfere with it because they deem that it's trying to interpret the madness into the Dying God's message is how you try and speak to the Dying God. You can't stop it. It is the mind of the Dying God within you. Then Cage shit talks us in chat saying, I'm excited for us to get into this Cal arc in the next 4 months after we finish role playing for 4 hours with a single NPC for 16 weeks straight. Me too, buddy. And then Nate says, Raph, why did you make Cal a warlock, not a wizard, given that you're a smart boy? Well, Calycinder is an int-based warlock. We changed all of the charisma, where it says charisma, we took a Tipex pen and wrote int on top of it.
Yep. For everything involved in that.
Yeah.
And I think a large part of it was due because I wanted that very much one-to-one connection that warlocks have, and how deeply integrated the whole connection between warlock and patron is. Which, like, yes, Calycinder could be a wizard and probably have some sort of relationship set up to the Dying God, but I wanted it to be a very direct and
you
very
wanted to be a
involved.
prophet.
Yes, exactly. Which I wouldn't be able to get if I was a wizard.
We could, but just not the same.
I could, but it wouldn't have been the same. It wouldn't have reflected the type of character direction that I wanted to take, I think, at least.
No. So they will happily burn through the minds of many chosen as it takes to interpret and receive the Dying God's words. Yeah, because, for example, in the past, Calycinder's great uncle, Erazilic, through that madness, found one of the 7 shards of the Dying God. Mm-hmm. Which is as many minds as it takes, and like Calycinder's mother later said to him, was like, your mind is stronger, and that's what the Inquisition does. They try and like temper people's minds to try and like be as strong. So like I would say they would have therapists in the sense of like trying to help them process it and get through it, but they wouldn't try and stop or change it. Then says, honestly, Kate says, honestly, an int warlock is a cool idea, as int warlocks like Cal made their pact, I assume that's an autocorrect, using their brains and research. Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice idea, and we're here for it as well. And mechanically, it works very well as well. It doesn't change much.
Yeah, mechanically, it doesn't change much. And I think some classes at least set up quite well to have potentially a few different values that you can base them off, as opposed to just locked into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle says, I'm an ADHD monster. I feel that on a spiritual level, Kyle. But, so, we've talked the Iravath Temple. The only thing we haven't talked about is the main military expo where everyone goes for their cars. Unveer is in Fort Yerrickson. It is on the border of the Starless property line, the state boundaries, country, like their borders, and that is where the main military hold would be. That's where Calycinder spent 15 years delving deep into the Empire of Ghouls, which is the main villain to the story of the Starless right now. It is within the world below. There is 2 powerhouses. There is the Starless elves.
We touched upon the world of Ghouls, actually.
We've done. We didn't do a full stream on it though, I don't think.
It wasn't a full stream, but it was quite a large part of the stream.
It was, I think.
Because we touched on the whole Illithid and what have you.
Some other cool things you know about Starless is how they kind of differ. So they have very large architecture, the great chasms and caves underneath the world below. They're quite vast, so there's full massive cities within these cave systems. Yeah, and their cultures they sit near a great world below lake. So a lot of the diet of the Starless becomes fish and fungus. It's mushrooms and fish is the main, and these small root forests of the road helps foster some of it, and some meat from giant spider meat and stuff from lower below,
Yeah, which is, I think, as well, the Starless have become experts at mastering the world below. No one understands the world below better than they do, in terms of both navigating around it and moving around it. They have had to become very proficient in that, and also with utilizing what plants and what creatures live down there to sustain themselves, and essentially, start farming plants from the world below, certain fungi and subterranean plants. They've really had to adapt their entire way of acting. So it's even if the Starless did return to the surface again, there would be a lot that they would need to change in order to, keep up with a very different lifestyle.
There is,
I think, a major. Sorry,
go ahead.
I was going to say, there's one in terms of one other sort of thing about Asian Alexandria, and Starless in general is that they are also very advanced in when it comes down to arcane forms of magic, as they have retained a lot of knowledge and a lot of training capabilities of arcanists and mages. Whilst other forms may have declined, probably because they don't have too many druids or people like that around, either arcane has become very prominent and very, compared to the world on the surface, relatively well set up when it comes to training and having schools and structures and the like.
There is.
I'll say that also plays. Sorry.
Like, no, absolutely. Like, you're absolutely right. I think one thing that you like, this focus and like the main like motives and everything at the start is like trying to like prosper. Like, that's one of the things of the Dying Gods, like trying to keep themselves together, like a unity. It's like the Totem of Faith, like moving forward as like a whole. They need to do this. It's much so like, as much as they help others, it's all about lifting each other up. There is like, you know, almost a sense of like no one left behind. Like this kind of like, for us to thrive as a society, we all have to do this together. So they put people in these specific categories, like, okay, well, you'll master this, I'll master this, and it's all very much so like, together we will do this. And like getting the schools up, getting the Inquisition up, getting the military up, it's like everything is a perfect machine, and if one cog is out of place, that makes everything stop working in unification. They make sure everything is perfect.
Yes, absolutely. And it is a well-oiled machine at this point in time. They've had a lot of practice.
Oh, a lot of practice. I think talking about Age and Alexander, though, there's, culturally speaking, we're also in the golden age for their rulership. The best queen that they've ever had sits the throne right now. Queen Zilzorzana, Calasindir's mother. She's been the active queen since her mother's passing 400 years ago. And
yes,
she was young when she was crowned. She wasn't even adult by Elvish standards. She was 96 by the time she was, and everyone believed her to be underprepared, nervous, and she was a child. Like that, by Starless and Elvish culture, she was a child. They were thought she would be no aptitude for statecraft. And 4 years later, something that had never happened before happened within Starless culture. A sitting queen took the Karzun Vir. The queen, wishing to be like her people, spent 15 years in the military, letting a regent sit the realm. She came back from it changed. She was always a joyful woman, as we've seen. She's very much a proud and a loving mother, but she came back molded by this experience. She had many run-ins with the Empire of Ghouls. She bonded with her soldiers, who became her personal guard after it. She came back from the Karzun Vir. No one could argue. This naive girl was something else. The best queen, she's now referred to as like the paragon of her people. Like this, like she is the crown jewel of the jewel below. She is what Isenhar Exandir set out to be. She bridges the gap between Fort Eriksson and the Isenhall Inquisition. She is the unity of the Starless. And hopefully her children will continue this legacy, but she will be a difficult queen to follow. She was 496 years old. And she has had a few children, and she's married, but she is power for the Starless. She is paramour and paragon of her people. Yes,
and as Des said, it's very much a golden age currently for the Starless. At the moment, like there is no major glaring setbacks for them.
There's no civil unrest.
No, there's no civil unrest. The situation's relatively stable at the front line with the Empire of Ghouls. Like, there's no major losses. There's no major civil unrest. Like, everything seems fine. The line of succession seems clear. The
line of succession seems clear, but it's not Calasindir who was next in line.
Well, I said seems clear, Des.
Seems clear.
However, we all know that the wrong child is about to inherit, or is next in line. So we'll see if something changes.
Calasindir, heavily power mad for the throne. It should just go to the most qualified individual. All I'm saying.
Look, have any of my siblings got shards? Don't think so, bozos.
Thank you for the follow. Isaac Affiliate? I have no idea how to pronounce your name, but thank you for the follow. Please let me know in chat how I should pronounce that, because I don't know. But happy to have you here. How's your day going? How you doing? So we talked about the Fates of the Dying God. We've talked about the Cars and Fear. As our resident Starless, where do you think is the next best place to go with this? Because there's so much we can talk about. Where do you want to go with this?
I don't know. There's so many areas that we could. I mean, it depends how much you want to touch on slight spoiler-ish territory.
Well, I don't mind doing light spoilers.
I was gonna say we could talk about someone like an Irazilic type of, or like certain individuals like that.
Yeah, let's talk about Irazilic's going to come up a lot soon, and because he's insane, we're not going to learn much of his story in game. So let's talk about it now. No. So Irazilic was before Callus-Indir. We talked a lot about Callus-Indir. He was not the first, but up until the point of Callus-Indir, the highest praised and what thought would be the savior of the Starless. Irazilic journeyed be. Can there be followers of the Dying God who aren't Starless? We welcome everyone, Nate. Anyone can worship the Dying God. That's the Azaria. You're found below.
Yeah.
You know, you will be welcome.
If you worship the Dying God, you are welcome. That's the one main thing. If you worship him, welcome.
Which is, well, because I think we'll see it in game eventually. I think Callus-Indir will eventually try and convert people. I think that once, like, Callus-Indir's mind is so focused on this shard right now, I think especially once he has the abilities to do, like, great miracles with the shard, he would convert people, like...
A lot of plans Cal has in mind are to be set in motion once he actually has a shard under his belt, and he is able to at least have that as proof. And being able to see what it will bring. And I think as well, like, not to go too deep into character ideas and spoilers and stuff, but he already has ideas in terms of, I think the best way of putting it, I guess you could say, is the found above as opposed to the found below.
Yeah. Well, we've seen it. Callus-Indir is trying to integrate Starless into, like, surface dweller society at this point. Like, with Burton and all. It's a goal. But before Callus-Indir, there was Irazilic. The exact same thing. I think a lot of what Callus-Indir's research into forming a pact with the Dying God was Irazilic's old notes. It was whether Callus-Indir knew this or not. Refining it. Or trying to do this to be, you know. But Irazilic had many visions. He was what was thought the savior. He was royal as well. He was, you know, a great warrior during his Cars and Veer, and he set out, and before Callus-Indir went to the surface, Irazilic went to the surface. And he found what Callus-Indir is now walking towards is Inish Hale, a tower that was dated back to the date of the Jotuns, when the war was active, where some of the Starless elves fled to hide a shard that they reclaimed. It's deep within Frost Giant territory, almost, you know, this kind of theory of where's the best place to hide if not under your enemy's nose, you know, hiding in, you know, the place they would least suspect you is in their own territory. And this secluded tower where he got visions, and people that were like disjointed and disconnected from the Starless kingdom, you know, these are Starless elves, but they were protecting what they thought was an artifact, and I thinking they were the last, and Irazilic slaughtered them, as we saw him do in the ruins near Irisvere. Near Irisvere.
I was gonna say the ruins near what was once Irisvere.
Yeah. What was once Irisvere.
Rest in peace, Irisvere.
Yeah, the city, the ruins of a city still stand. But he went there and he broke through whatever defenses were set up to climb this tower to claim a shard, and returned to the, you know, to Asian Alexander with a shard, saying, I have found this. We have proof that there is, you know, before that there was only theories of the shards being out there, rumors of other Starless who took the shards, which Irazilic comes back bringing and dating that these are zealots who are stopping the Dying God from reforming. And it's, you know, it's another
Yeah,
one. Then
exactly.
we saw visions with Rainier's grim psychometry that there was even some knowledge or some sect that we did talk about it briefly in the ruins of where Irisvir is, that they recognized the royal blood, and there was even a golem like that. There's something set aside where you're not sure what's in the ruins of Irisvir. Calacinder assumes there is a shard buried there, but is protected by something that has to be activated in a shale.
Yes.
So whatever is below that, there could be a shard, or maybe it's dangerous below. Maybe there's a reason why they didn't go down. But there is people that know of locations that didn't reveal it, and once again, Irizilic killed them for this transgression. And whether or not he managed to get below those ruins, or maybe he did that. For all you see, the thing is, you don't know Irizilic's journey. You don't know if he went to the ruins of Irisvir first and then up to Inishale when he found that, and then found a shard there, then brought that back. Because when he brought the shard back, it was Hail to Heroes, like parades and celebrations. And then they try to take it off of him and say, you can't use this power. And he goes, no, I'm the only one who can use this power. Where they're saying, using this power is blasphemy. You are stealing power from the Dying God. What if this power is finite and you are siphoning it and the Dying God can't return? And he steals it and he goes back to to try and search. And what we now realize, or whatever, out of characters, Irzilic's lost his mind, and he's gone back to the place of his greatest achievement to try and be like, this is mine. Like, no one's going to take it from me. And Irzilic is now within Inishale with a shard, and perhaps knowledge of a second, or perhaps knowledge of what lied below in the ruins of Irisvir. If he got in at all, you're not sure. But we see ruined many hundred years ago. This is about
I think it'd be quite interesting. I think it'd be quite interesting in comparison. Like, if Calacindia gets the shard, if it will try and be taken from him as well, if he returned home.
What does Calacindia think would happen?
It's like, does he know that is why Irizilic left? Like, does he know of that?
Yeah, Calacindia would know that Irizilic brought a shard back, and then it was taken by the Inquisition to study. And
no, look, here's the thing: Calacindia would not part with the shard. He would allow him to maybe study it, but he would have to be in possession of it.
That was what Irizilic would have said.
Exactly, because there is the same sense of pride.
But there's that same sense of, I am the prophet. I am the one who's meant to be finding all of these.
The pride and arrogance, but also that very much the same thing that is keeping them sane and in this is that belief, is that faith in not just the Dying God, but in themselves. Yeah. And that's what's keeping them sane. So I don't know. Calacindia, if he returned, I don't know. That would be tough. That would be very tough.
But here's the thing. Irizilic brought it back to be touted as a hero. Would Calacindia return without all 7? Well, he doesn't know there's 7, but for example, if he knew there's 7.
Yes.
When he knows there's 7.
Yes. When he knows there's 7, would he return with them?
Would he return without them? Like, would he return with 1, or would he want to come back with all 7?
He would return with the plan that if it was tried to, if it looked like they were going to try and take him over him, that he would have something planned for that. And whether or not that would be a... Well, Calacindia would definitely try, before he does any of this, he would definitely try and look for allies within the Inquisition, particularly using old contacts, old people he knew that are more loyalist to his way of thinking. And if it did come to it, he would try to sort of usurp and launch a coup of some of the Inquisition leadership that would seek to actually...
What if your mother told you to bring it back so we can study it? Because technically, Irizilic was, that was just before her time. She would have been alive, but it was just before her time. Because Irizilic was her uncle.
She's another... Yes. So it would be very interesting.
It was her mother who's told Irizilic, who would have said to Irizilic, bring it back.
Would she repeat the same mistake? Because she also knows, her mother knows, she knows Calacindia.
A mother knows.
And
that's the thing, is it was her uncle, it was her mother's brother.
I think she would know that Calacindia wouldn't just return and part with it. She would know that. So, like, in a sense as well, though, Calacindia would be like, okay, why am I parting with it? Do I have all 7? Why would I give it up? My job's still going on. Why?
Well, I suppose the argument that would have been made for Irazelic is it is safest within, like, please go out and find more, but this shard is safest within Ishinhar Exandir. This is safest within the halls of the Inquisition. But Irazelic was like, I can use this power to find others.
Yes, I can use this power to find others. It helps me with my connection to the Dying God. And shouldn't this shard be in the hands of the Dying God chosen?
Yeah, so there's
of the prophet of the chosen.
There's almost like that jealousy of the Inquisition that's like, you know, they wish, like, they're also trying to do this, like they're trying to do this, like, you know, trying to find it, and it's like,
well, and yeah, but I think as well though is that once again it draws back to the old, to the very good question that Nate asked, which was, are there like factions within the Starless? And yes, and that is the thing that Calacindia would seek to exploit. Is that he would seek to exploit these factions and essentially ensure that he has a lot of allies on his side should he return, that he would have a certain buffer set up from those that would seek to take it away, and that if they did move to take it away, that he would have a lot of supporters and protection from that.
True, but I think the next time we could see Calacindia return, if, and this is a big if, is... So, question, this actually goes to you. We're talking a little spoiler of like plans of what could happen. So, a few months' time, in game time, not our time, Calacindia will be going to the Empire of Ghouls. Would exposure to a shard of the Dying God create a sorcerer of some kind? It sounds like an interesting custom subclass.
Yes,
I
could. Like it.
That could be like it sends out so much magic. It could. It certainly could. It is an artifact. Like, this is an artifact beyond mortal power. I definitely think it could. It hasn't yet, but that would be a great subclass to come up with. Shard Touch Sorcerer. I suppose that would be something I definitely will make if Calacindia's story is successful in the end of this campaign. That is something we could see next campaign.
I think even let's say if Calacindia has children, I think those children, there'd be a high chance that they would be sorcerers of, like Shard Touch Sorcerers, or whatever the name would be.
Yeah.
Due to his close influence and connection to the Dying God. That is a very interesting idea.
Yeah, you just called him the Shattered Soul.
There you go. It writes itself. The Shattered Soul Sorcerer.
Look, we got to see how Calacindia's story goes first. And Kate says, "Ayo, hit me up if you need." Look, when I have a more solid idea, because Dying God is something I have a lot of info on, and I definitely think I already have abilities of what the shards do, and that could be translated to class abilities very well.
There you go. I'm curious, actually, in your mind, do you have planned out where each of the shards are?
My God, I know where all of the shards are.
Yeah, I was going to say. Because I don't know, because I like in my mind, I like to think that there's...
You already know where 4 are.
Shards. Yes. I still like the idea in my mind that there's still a shard out there, like one of them that's like protected by like a very secluded, hidden group of Starless that to this day are still holding out in this very secluded, like, enclave.
Well, that was Inishale.
Completely hidden from the world. Yeah.
That's what Irazelic kills. That's just true.
But we don't know exactly what is in Inish. I'm thinking of
You're thinking Eosphere.
Yes.
You don't know what's below there.
But yeah.
Well, I can tell you what's below. I won't tell you exactly what's below. I can tell you kind of a hint of what's below there.
What's below? Give me a hint.
It's a mega dungeon, my guy. Hey, you'll be excited. Below Eosphere, once that door opens, that's a mega dungeon. That's like multi-session, like in, out, like go in, clear, go out, clear. Like, that's a mega dungeon. Like, Dungeon in a Mad Mage style. That's a mega dungeon down there. One of the shards on the shelf in Anna's mum's house. You'll imagine.
Look, Kate, I am over here giving you the mega dungeon, alright? I'm over here giving that to you.
Kate's like, I'll follow the Dying God if I get a mega dungeon. I'll pay for us to skip to it right now. Yo, bet, how much you got? Look, Calacindia has to live through the first one and pay £1 of flesh and Inishale. You'll have to pay something.
Yes. Look, Cade, alright? I want to go there for the Dying God. You want to go there for the
oogly boogly combat.
We are not the same.
But no, like that's what's once that door that golem like what's sealed below there is like that is a like I love the Mad Mage multi-level, multi-depth mega dungeon. Like I'm not going to tell you what's in it or what the final rooms and bosses and shit would be, but like I have for a while, I mean for a good while, like I have wanted a mega dungeon style, like kind of like think ending of Into a Series style. Think, you know, look, Nelbert says my only regret is that I don't get to join in. How do you know? How do you know, Nate? I may need a guest for some of that mega dungeon. How do you know? No. Aggressively threatening Nate that he's going to get a guest spot.
Better be free, Nate.
You better be.
Or else.
You don't have time, I'm gonna make you have time. But yeah, that is it. Like, as Kate is probably going to be very excited for. There are not going to be many like people down there. That's been sealed off for centuries. That's a mega dungeon. There might be ghosts, and that's the only roleplay you're going to get. Come at me, bro. Bet. You'll find a ghost down there. Be Nate.
What were you asking though before that we got onto this about? Did you say something about Calcinia? I can't.
No, we were talking about the location of the shots.
You were saying that the next time that you think Calcinia may return home.
Oh yeah, so if you do go into the Emperor of Ghoul's hold and rescue the hostages, you'll have your sister, and you'll need to return her home.
Yes.
Like, would you bring her to Ariel Keep, or would you bring her home?
That is an interesting question, isn't it, Des? Does she have a use on the surface?
Would you find a use for her on the surface?
Quite potentially, yes.
But the biggest potential use she has on the surface is like a political marriage. Everett technically, like for the state of the kingdom, Everett needs a wife. Like, I know Everett is married to Theo, but they need him to have an heir and a lineage.
Well, that's also secret as well. So
yeah, Everett's marriage to Theo is secret, and there's also like Morvis and Sutempra. There's.
I wasn't going to say anything, Des. I wasn't going to say anything, but I have in my mind
political marriages.
And if not that, then she's also a very talented arcanist in a world that is in need of very talented arcanists to spread their knowledge and help influence the next generation of mages.
Also, Nate said, I'll heal more HP than you can take. Look, is that a challenge? Because I would say the Codex Keeper did a lot of damage, and I just need to turn off the lights on you, buddy. Watch you come into my thing with Devil Sight next time. You're like, nope, fuck this shit, magical darkness. But no, that's very interesting. But yeah, I could see Calcinder doing that. Maybe I could see that being a possible way.
Maybe. Yeah.
Which is, it's pretty cool. Let's go. We're on 349 followers. One follower away from 350. Let's go. Someone in the chat. If you're not following, follow now.
Please, let us hit 350.
I mean, I can make a more powerful healer. I mean, I can make more dice appear in the damage roll. Also, there's a spell that's beautiful. It's called Defile Healing, and it turns that juicy heal into damage.
Yes.
So please, heal more. I dare you. But no, I could definitely see Calicinder's story going very well. But of the 7 shards, obviously Calcinder doesn't know there's 7 shards. I imagine he will after Inishale. That is information I think he will get there. Because I think that's
I'm really curious. I'm really curious about what visions he'll get after Inishale. Coming into contact with the shard and a step further towards piecing together the mind of the Dying God, whilst also being closer to it at the same time.
But also closer to madness. But in theory, there's one in... Defile Healing does the opposite of healing, unfortunately. And Kate says, I'm watching from Vox, and Kate said, shit, I've forgot to do my job. It's been so much longer than 15 minutes. Ayo, on Patreon, in December, we're doing D in December. And that is, in the month of December, if you're not, only for the $5 a month tier, we'll be releasing a subclass and a race every week in the month of December. That's 5 subclasses and 5 races. So please jump on over there and support us on Patreon. It's the best way to support us. I know I'm shilling, but we are putting a lot of effort into putting our heart, soul, and love into this, blood, sweat, and tears. And Nate says, you had one job. Kate says, I'm such a disappointment. And then Nate says, useless. That's rough, buddy. Getting put on blast by Nate. I appreciate you either way, Kate. Don't worry, our group disappoints me on the reg. But yeah, Callisinder knows the location of 4. I'm curious how quickly Callisinder is going to start trying to get these shards, because you know there's one in Inishale, then you know there's one at Eresvere, and then you know there is one in the waters in the Zephyrican Bay. So very rapidly you could try and do three things to get 3 shards, but how quickly will he try and do that? The disappointment comes from a place of love. Yeah, of course.
Look, I think another part of that is that Callisinder at the end of the day is an elf, and Starless are very much embody the whole long-lived, long plan.
Yeah, there is no rush for the Starless.
There is no rush for the Starless. So when I say that Callisinder would move fast, I mean move fast for an elf. But he would move fast and with a purpose, because he knows that time is against him. He knows that this is only indefinite, what he's able to do to keep the madness at bay. So he would move with a sense of urgency, but not rushing mad, like just headlessly around the place, because he would still want to be going to places with a degree of intelligence and composure and information first.
Nate says, okay, it's almost midnight on the correct side of Australia, time to hit the hay. But have you hit the Patreon? Good night, Nate. And Kate says, move fast for an elf. Seems like an aggressive burn on elves, to be honest. Ouch. Yeah, midnight.
Also, almost midnight on the correct side. Oh, I wish that was me.
What time is it for you, Raph?
It's currently 2 a.m. or 2:02.
2:02. Oh, that's a rough time. See you, Nate.
Hey,
enjoy.
Look, we're still going. We're still going.
We'll be here for another few minutes anyway. Another bit. 2:32.
Yes, I'm curious. Yeah, is there something else you want to touch upon next for the Starless? What do you want to talk about next?
Well, I talked about Erzulek's journey. We've talked about I'm trying to think what is the next best topic to naturally jump into.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I'm curious as well. Actually, one thing is, how did how long? First of all, how long has the war against the Empire of the Ghouls been going on for? But also, how did it start? Like, how did the whole conflict there begin?
Okay, we can talk about that a little bit. So the conflict with the Empire of Ghouls was pretty constant from the outset. Like when they got to the world below, they were the Emperor of Ghouls was smaller but already there. Like there was many forces, but it's gotten bigger obviously because for the first while before they became immune to it, it's they were giving forces every time someone dies to the Empire of Ghouls. There's a chance that they come back as a ghoul. I remember the Dying God shattered in minus 1,345 pre-dawn. So that's almost 1,700 years ago, or 1,800 years almost now. No, it is over 1,800, almost 1,900. So Agent Alexander was founded a couple hundred years after that. And I'd say maybe at 500 New Dawn is when the first conflicts with the Empire of Ghouls came to be. So it's almost 1,000-year war at this stage. It's maybe close to, let's say, 50 pre-dawn is when they started seeing an immunity to the Dark Ghoul fever.
The Dark Ghoul fever, yeah.
Thank you. I have a 7-Up delivery from my wife. It's a never-ending war because you're fighting hordes of undeath, and Especially when all those pesky surface dwellers get lost on the world below and die, it's normally to the ghouls.
SMH.
Which is just
as Des said before, there's essentially it's solidified essentially into two major power blocks in the world below: the Emperor of the Ghouls and the Starless Elves, and they control.
It is a war, it is a long-lasting war, but there could be 5 years, 6 years, like without conflict, without them finding each other in the world below. Like there is no knowledge of either side of where the capital is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it is still not known where to the Emperor of Ghouls where Agent Alexander is, because the world below is massive. Like,
yeah,
and it's still not known to the This is one reason why Calasindir wants so desperately to work with Jarnvir. I think is because Jarnvir knows where the Emperor of Ghouls castle is.
Look, working with Jarnvir, it's
yucky. I know
it's yucky, but he knows too much.
He does. He's too useful. Also, he has had the chance to study briefly a shard.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know where my phone is.
Oh, it's great.
There you go. But yeah, there's a lot of information in Jarnvir, and there's a lot to be gotten and gleaned from the Emperor of Ghouls. Like that's information that's powerful. The Emperor of Ghouls obviously just wants supreme dominance in the world below before they even look to the surface. It's like, he wants to conquer that world before he conquers anything else.
Yeah. But yeah, as you said, it's like an undying, unyielding, undead horde.
It's never ending.
Against legions of Starless.
I'm curious on Calasindir's perspective on one thing. We've talked, and it's come up a little bit, his disdain for the Ascended Gods. But specifically, the Ascended Gods, specifically the ones Merkestiel worships, sainted Egregi, the Shatterer, the executioner of the Dying God.
Now that is a very interesting question that I've been kind of waiting to be brought up, because Calasindir will go full mask off at that point, and he views them as being traitors and utter betrayers, not just to the Dying God, but the entirety of humanity, for multiple reasons. But
it was the original four. That was Solelio, Lezeprican, Zagoli, and Imivana that did that.
They sainted the Arch-Heretic.
So,
the one
you can answer that. I just have to answer that real quick.
Yes, the one who brought about the downfall of the Dying God, the complete destruction of the Dying God. There is such a hatred for Calasindir, for the Forest Major Ascended, and for Egregi. So absolutely. If Merc ever brings that up, Calasindir would... You wouldn't be happy. You would definitely lose it. And I think there's a degree of Calasindir as well that views the act of sainting, not even a degree actually, probably just a large part of Calasindir that sees the sainting of Egregi as essentially before ascended, well, heck of a better word, bitching out of the whole thing and not seeing the conflict through, just being like, yeah, okay, we'll saint you and call the conflict there, cool. Or in Calasindir's mind, it's like, you just betrayed humanity by signing a peace and sainting the person that wants to destroy humanity the most. Why would you do that? Yeah. Just like, why would you do that? You've essentially like, okay, cool, you've signed a peace with Egregi. Nice. Now he's going to declare war again in like a few hundred years' time. Well done, guys. Good work. You've really played us all there, didn't you? Yeah, Cal's getting support on that now. Yeah, look, I'm glad. I need someone there to betray Merc alongside me. That's a journey we can take part in together.
Here's the worst thing. Calasindir believes that the artifact of Ascension is a shard of the Dying God.
Yes.
So they sainted Egregi with a shard of the god he killed.
Exactly. So in his mind, there is so much wrong. There is so much twisted. I think, Des, you posed this question to me before, and I want to reiterate it again. If Calasindir had a chance to kill one of the ascended gods, would he do it? If it was on the 4 major ones, yes. To reiterate that, he would.
Could you imagine?
And you know what's best about this, Cade? AJ never watches these streams, so we can just discuss all our plans about betraying Merc.
You know the best thing? Imagine this. You get Celelia's tome, and she comes to you to try and get it back. Cal has like 3 shards, and as she reaches for the book, you just turn.
Yeah, and break her. Because, and honestly, Cal would even be like, look, buddy, Anna, alright? Use your connections, we'll get the tome, we'll completely break any connection she has to you whatsoever, yeah? And in return, like, we can do this together, right?
Also, she's warring against the Decaying Lord, so it's like, we want her dead.
Yeah, we can wombo combo this, Anna. We can do this, alright? We can do this together. We can.
But could you imagine the turn of a fight in Mercestio with Celelia? It'd be like Ariel Keep 2.0.
It would be hard. It would be heartbreaking. But I think in that situation, Mercestio would not back down. But look, in the case of Celelia, it's different as well, because Calacindia would see it as a case of almost putting down a rabid dog.
Yeah.
Someone who couldn't handle the power of trying to utilize and profane a shard in such a manner that they need to be put down. Like, it's doing Celelia almost a favor in a way.
So I am also curious. In every mainline campaign, I believe Xerxes makes a cameo, or like a small appearance.
Yes.
If Calacindia recognized Xerxes the Stealer, the one who stole the Artifact of Ascension, what would his approach be?
I can't remember whether that was on a Wednesday stream or if it was just in a private call, but we have kind of discussed this. Yeah, we have.
I know we have. Okay. I just want this for stream.
Yeah, so Calacindia, he sees, out of all of the Ascended, he probably views Xerxes with the most respect. He's the only one that took a step to keeping the Artifact of Ascension, a shard in Calacindia's eyes, away from anyone else that would seek to abuse its powers. He views that as being responsible, and he utterly respects that of Xerxes. Upon seeing Xerxes, however, Calacindia would very much take the approach of, okay, you've done a good job of keeping it secret, you've done a good job of keeping it hidden, and now it's time for it to return. It needs to return to the Dying God. That is where it came from. That is where it belongs. Like, I can look after it. I'll return it to the Dying God. It will be with us. I don't want to use its powers to ascend. That's not what I intend to whatsoever.
But you know what's what?
I merely want to reunite it.
If it is Artifact of Ascension brings, like, is a shard, Calacindia is going to have a shard soon, and in theory, if that's an Artifact of Ascension, Calacindia could try and become an Ascended God.
No. Look, Calacindia wouldn't.
You don't think so?
Unless... No. I mean, I don't know. That's the thing. To some extent, maybe if he uses it to a lesser degree, but that's the whole thing. He doesn't see it as someone becoming a god through it as a good thing, because that's detracting from the Dying God. If he becomes a god or a saint or whatever, it will be because the Dying God said for that to happen and made that happen. Not because he used the shard. If he had a shard and the Dying God said, use it and ascend, Calacindia would. But he's not going to do it by himself because he sees that as a misuse of the artifact.
Kate says, wait, where it come from, where it went. The artifact is the Cotton Eye Joe. Where'd it come from, where'd it go? Where'd it come from? Artifact Eye Joe.
Artifact Eye Celelia.
I think Calacindia's mind is so interesting. I love it personally. I love the
Yes. I don't think I've put so much.
You put so much thought into this character.
Yes, and thought not just in regards to backstories, but in regards to certain situations. How would Calicindia react in this moment? And to things that are as outlandish as like getting a chance to kill an ascended god, would he do it? And thinking about that and coming up with the definite answer of yes, and this is why.
You know, I'll make a deal with Cade and Chat, because we were talking about the mega dungeon earlier. If Anna, I'll make sure it gets prioed up the queue as soon as you get through this stuff to get to that mega dungeon. If Anna starts asking Calicindia about what life is like in the world below, trade deal. You roleplay with Cal, I provide mega dungeon.
You roleplay. Look, the decay duo. Because
one's mind is decaying.
Yeah. I don't give a fuck about that though.
Correct. But Cade gives a fuck about a mega dungeon.
Yeah, but Cade can't break character.
No, he can't break character. It's just fun trade deal meme.
Yeah.
But, there's so much.
Look. Calicindia, if he meets the last Star Elf, Nahajan, and just to try and kill him.
Would Calicindia kill a Star Elf?
Depends. The Nahajan one? I don't know.
You don't know what he's a Star Elf of. Like, where was he? Did he ever meet the Dying God? Was he Durapid inside?
And at that stage, Calicindia almost doesn't care, because it probably happened before the whole thing happened. Before any split happened and everything like that. It was probably long in the past. So probably wouldn't be that. Probably would be spited and would be a bit jaded towards him.
Hey, gents, how is the legendary Eldritch Scribe and Wrath today? Hey, Crimson Rockstar, we are very, very good. How are you keeping? How's things? How's your day going? Yes. What are you up to today? We're doing a Starless stream, an entire Wrath character, and I believe is it about 15 minutes? Is this my time while I'm distracted? We announced there on Tuesday, and now on the Twitch. I think you're there. I'm not sure if you're there. On our Patreon, we're doing D&D December. For each week of the month of December, we're going to be launching a subclass and race for 5e, some official Eldritch Scribe content. What are you doing today? We're shilling. The stream is purely an excuse to shill for the Patreon. But what's the Queen's Guard doing today?
Forgot about that.
Look, it's a good meme.
It is a solid meme. We appreciate good memes here.
Look, we do appreciate good and bad memes.
Look, facts. Bad memes especially.
Ready to start work? Oh, nice. When did you start work? What's on your work agenda today? But so we've talked Starless founding, we've talked Starless religion, we've talked Starless diets, we've talked Starless prophets, we've talked Starless enemies. I'm trying to think what's our next vibes to go into. Like we've talked possibilities of like where shards could be. We've talked possibilities of
I'm curious actually in terms of the possibilities you think of. Calicindia's obviously put forward his notions of Starless being more involved with the surface and stuff like that. But how do you envisage in your mind how you see Starless potentially getting more involved in the surface? Like, is that something that you want to try and develop on, or do you want?
It's something I want to happen naturally, and I think you're the catalyst for that. And then Crimson says, "How's the Queen doing?" We hear she is actually feeling a lot better. I was talking to her there yesterday and filling her in what happened after she had to dip from the session. She is feeling a lot better. She just pretty much went to sleep after it happened, and yeah, she's feeling a lot better. Thank you for asking. That's very nice. But yeah, I've never the Starless elves predominantly, they don't care for the surface realm. They don't really care because it's also a lot of fast moving kingdoms like Burton and Rindleton and Arvigard. They're also, some of them only founded like 100 years ago. They don't very young, and as you said, the Starless, they don't move fast. Like they move at elvish standard, and they're not too concerned with it unless it involves like Dying God. And they also see a lot of what Calicindia sees of like traders, specifically like Celia. Like they would, like Celia has been risen, like, you know, to ash many times, and I could see them almost siding with like Mantara Thea and trying to help a war against Castelia, because I can imagine, like, even though it's like not based in logic, more in just like hatred, they're like, Castelia is the founded and run by the 4 main gods and their main priests. For all we know, they still try and hold an artifact of ascension there with the shard of the god. Let us raise this city to rubble and find it. Like, you know, there is like a lot of them are like traitors and like people that they remind me then. Just send me a Discord message, Kyle. But yeah, join the Discord if you're not already in it.
Yeah, big shout out there to the Discord.
Like, I think unless outside influence like Calacinder, like they don't care to interact with the surface realm, because it's so disconnected from them. It's like culturally and like politically, it's disconnected. They don't have any like what they like. Maybe if they found like something like the like of Eosphere, they might actually like. I could see a war between Burton and Igenar happening without Calacinder to mediate, because they're like, you sit atop our land. This is land of the shard, and this is like, you know, like holy right. We will take this land.
Yes.
Like,
but see, that's almost Calacinder's logic behind wanting to support. When he has to pitch support almost to the Starless, he always wants to spin that in a different light, being like, there's a shard here. This is clearly blessed land. This is land where the Starless was. This is where land where the dying god, the dying god was. So it's clearly been blessed. Like, this is why we should have a closer connection to them.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very interesting.
But if Calacinder wasn't like that and they found this out, they'd be like, well, then it is ours by birthright. Like, by holy birthright, this is ours. Like,
yes.
Can you do that? Yeah, Kate, if you can do the channel in the Discord, just make a Kyle box. Just a text channel. Just see what memes Kyle wants to put in there. But no, I think like a big fault of the Starless as well is their pride. They're an extremely proud people who want to like, you know, they would almost like as you said, it's like discrimination based on religion almost, where there's like, if you're not a supporter of the dying god, it's almost like you're almost an enemy. It's
yeah. Well, that's the thing as well, like the Starless themselves, they are almost feel I don't think the right word of putting it, a compulsion, I guess, a unrelenting feeling that they need to recover the shards at all cost. If you stand between them and recovering a shard, you are an enemy to be crushed. You are someone to be pushed aside by their blessed arms. Like, that is the thing. Regardless if you're another elf, if you're an ascended god, if you're a human, it doesn't matter. If you stand between them and a shard, you are an enemy of their faith. And they would not 100%. Stop at anything.
Which is just like, that is kind of their how they operate, and it's just so fact.
Yeah, but then at the same time, there are some like Calacinder who, whilst seeing it through similar ways, they also view it that potentially they can go about these things in a bit more of a subtle, diplomatic to some extent, but a lot more reliant upon manipulation, intrigue, and stuff like that, as opposed to straight up force. Which is, yeah, so it's interesting, I think, in terms of the future of the Starless with the surface, especially if several shards fall into their possession.
Yeah, so if they get that power, like, because remember, like, we know that they know that they're also, I'm very curious, is there a worry, because this is also just pretty, like, half Starless stream, but like, well, I'd say 75% Starless stream, like 25% Calacinder stream. Because
as I said, though, Calacinder is very much envisaged as a character to try and represent and carry a lot of the Starless values through him, so he's a very like useful tool to discuss the Starless and aspects of their culture and society.
So, is there a fear that Calacinder can't delay the raid on Mount Ondai long enough and someone else gets a shard before him?
Yes, absolutely.
Because he's the chosen one.
he's the chosen one, but also there's a sense that even as he saw with Zamani as well, there's a recognition of how dangerous this is for someone who hasn't gone through the same steps that he has to possess an artifact or to come to so close to a shard. He recognizes that very well, like someone else might pick it up, they're going to go insane. If they don't have the same connection he does, or that someone like him or Irazilic, if there isn't that connection set up, they will just go insane straight away. And what they will do then could be terrible. It could cause massive destruction and chaos.
Yeah. It could be dangerous. Yeah. It could be very dangerous. And what's Cal's plan? Like, this is just me like wanting to know your character. Like, what is Calasinder's plan for the Mount Ondai shard? Because you know it's in there because of Jarnir.
It is, and currently he's at a bit of a stretch for it, because with the way everything's lined up, he can't see a reason to pull the party over there. He doesn't have a reason. He doesn't have a reason beyond himself to get the party involved over there.
I suppose you've got your mother to delay any assault for 4 months.
Yes, so he has 4 months now. He has 2 months of that to do the whole hostage rescue, everything to do with that side of things. Now, worst comes to worst in his mind, he returns to Ijin Alexandria. He offers his support in the invasion. This is worst comes to worst. He offers his support in the invasion to claim the shard. He helps claim the shard, then he leaves.
I suppose also you have 4 months. If in those, like 2 months to do the rescue, and then you have another 2 months, if you can get the shard in Ear Sphere, if you can clear that mega dungeon in that time. Whoa, stream title encouraging getting distracted. This is Crimson. Thank you, Crimson. We do nothing if not get distracted here. It's like kind of our brand at this stage. It's it does not take an awful lot for us to get distracted in like one question, like a funny meme, a cool TV show, or like some like random joke. We used to call this like a word, like we tried to have like a format and that just flew out the window. So it's just become like me and Raph solid vibing with chat and memeing, and yeah, we're here for it, and we're glad to have you here.
Yep. And what were you asking, Starless?
So if you can clear that mega dungeon, like, I suppose, would Calasindir like to have the 3 shards he knows about before getting that one in Mount Ondai? Or like what sort of does he have like, okay, I would like X amount of shards before that happens?
I don't think he has an idea like that in mind. It's more so if he can find a way to get to Mount Ondai around that. Like, it's not something that he doesn't have a plan yet at this stage. So he has the plans for each other location, but he doesn't have a plan for Mount Ondai yet. He's still trying to find out
more
what he can, which is something, once again, it's another
didn't Jarnir promise more information once this is done?
Yes.
He's like,
yes, there's that, and the fact that there's a lot of plans that he has that he's pushed back until he gets the first shard, until he has that. And the Mount Ondai shard is one of those, because at this stage he doesn't know an awful lot about Mount Ondai, all those heretical paladins that live there.
True.
In their hovels.
It's the brand for every D&D themed Twitch show. Wait, are you the one?
Yes.
Theoretically, not naming names, but a certain artist we both are know and love. Are you saying that they get distracted? For the integrity of my clips, I can't say names.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's certain artists who we can't say because otherwise it'd be used against us. We'd never get distracted.
No. Yeah, that's really interesting. There's a lot, like, I can't wait for the shard to come, the shard of the Dying God, because I have been known as a Lord of Chaos in certain places, but here you are known but as the Queen's Guard.
Yeah.
It is an honourable title. Footnote, Lord of Chaos.
Yeah.
Footnote. Don't
Queen's
worry about
Guard,
it.
Lord of Chaos.
Esquire.
Yeah. Esquire, the second.
No, the first. Definitely the first. Look, we're saying it awfully loud. Yeah, you know what? Hey, gifted a tier 1 sub to Nightbot. Crimson, did you just give such...
I don't. I never even knew you could do
Can
that.
Nightbot get subs? Is Nightbot canonically allowed a subscription? Does that mean if I put a command in from Nightbot, it's going to have a sub badge? I'm a
Nightbot, if you want...
Look, I tested a random sub, our Patreon, which we have. Nightbot does have a sub badge now. Thank you for giving Nightbot a sub badge. That's very cool
Nightbot,
of you.
Nightbot, if you want access to our World Anvil as a sub, you now have full access. So just reach out to Des.
Reach out to me on Discord. Nightbot join the Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah, now Nightbot can access the emote. Yeah, wait.
What the fuck?
Wait, if I make a command that does the words of that is needed for the sub wait.
Oh,
wait a minute, can I make this work? Hey, Edwin. Wait, could I? Oh, this is interesting. If I do, like, for example, our Velfira, like, or like the Raft Brain, can I put like the L25 Raft Brain and Nightbot will do the Raft Brain emote now? That would be hilarious.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Yeah, but thank you so much for the gifted sub. That's it. Did you do a random gift sub, or no? Did you purposely give? You purposely gave it to Nightbot.
Did you purposely?
What a gamer!
Lord of Chaos. Look, you've earned the title Lord of Chaos.
I'll add it to your Discord name. Don't think I won't. Wait, how long can a Discord title be? 1 second. This needs to be researched for research purposes. Server settings. Roles. Queen's Guard edit. Queen's Guard. Yeah, did it work? Oh no! Oh, wait. Does I gotta check this. This is important. This is important stuff that is needed. Yeah. Look. Server. Look, it is now when you click your profile on the Discord, Crimson, it says Queen's Guard, Lord of Chaos. It's still, for some reason, it's just saying Queen's Guard, I think, because it doesn't want more than one word. Oh no, it's updated. Yeah, Queen's Guard, Lord of Chaos. Congratulations. It's there. Bet. We gave it to you. What was the topic of conversation? We're not distracted, you're distracted.
Shards?
Sure, we're talking shards. That's such a fun meme.
Yeah,
I can't believe people give a sub to Nightbot.
Oh god. Sub to Nightbot though, absolute chat move, can I just say.
Nightbot, been here since day one.
Yeah, well look, shout out to Nightbot. Oldest follower, oldest and most committed.
Yeah. Still hasn't joined the Discord though.
SMH. Nightbot, come on. What are you playing
Instructions where I'm not sure, Crimson. I can't find them, you can't find them. No snitches.
No snitches, can't see anything.
No snitches. But yeah, so is there any other, like, before we like start winding down or whatever, is there any other like major plans that you would like to say? Is like, you said you put off a lot of plans for California. Like, is there any major plans you could reveal to us? I was like,
reveal.
Crimson's here. He wants to know. Hey Demon, how you doing?
Hey Demon, there you go. I mean, there's a few that I've already discussed, such as like the other shards, research into that and stuff. But I think a major one is really spearheading the whole. The found above, as I so named it, but like the involvement with arcanists within various nations and stuff like that, really trying to work on integrating Starless into the surface world, and which Carlson very much sees an ideal way of doing that being through mages, which from what he's learned, the surface world doesn't really have much in the way of powerful arcane casters. Not yet. Which is what Calicendia sees as well, is that very much the surface as it is less developed and less advanced than the world below, but he sees that the rate of that is changing, so that he needs to act now, and people within his time frame from the world below need to act in order to get the Starless to have this advantage and actually make the most of it and benefit from that, by really integrating themselves and, tapping into the surface world and trying to influence it within their own directions. So very much setting up a lot of intrigue and stuff within the surface.
Okay, that's very interesting. Alrighty, I am, however, noticing the time. So,
yes,
bar external influence, I'm going to start trying to wind down, unless anyone has anything they want to know, or anything they want to ask. We will start winding this down. I have an addiction to mimics and mushrooms, and people are starting to both worry for me and get concerned at how dark I'm going to start making my stuff. That just seems like a cool way to, like, you know, pose your campaign, and, like, you know, like, that seems like those are fun enemies to do, because, like, the Myconids are really, really interesting. They're actually a denizen of the world below that we could talk about if we wanted.
That is true, actually. For another time.
Alright, Carl, thank you for the Wilk.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you. Thank you for your contributions to today's Wilk count. To that one command.
Yes.
Back in your box. Right. Nightbot gets a sub and hell is breaking. Look, Nightbot gets a sub and hell is breaking loose. You're not wrong. I genuinely did not know that could happen, Crimson. But it's wild. It do be wild. Nightbot is above many of the plebeians without a sub badge at this stage.
Mm-hmm. Look, Nightbot is basically a second cast member at this point.
Look, he's like tertiary cast member. They're like tertiary cast member? She's like tertiary cast member. I do not know Nightbot's pronouns. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, back in your box. Yeah, so Raf, I've done a lot of talking today because I've drank a lot of cold brew, but do you want to summarize for the very good people who are here what we kind of talked about today?
Oh, wow. Okay, so today we covered the Starless Elves, which are basically the inheritors of the Star Elf legacy in the world. Those that remained faithful to the old god of the Dying God and chose to lose the stars in their eyes until they could see about the return of the Dying God. Upon the Dying God's death and shattering the hands of the giants, they fled deep underground into the world below, where they set up their gleaming civilization down there. And yeah, we discussed about their culture, about their religious practices, which plays a major part in all of that. The general structure of the city of Alexandria, the jewel below, the Crystal Citadel. And then also went a bit into the whole, I guess you could call it sort of seeing the Starless through the eyes of Calacindia, my character in our Kingslayer's campaign, who is also a Starless, and using him to look at a lot of the various facets of Starless society and certain groups and influences that it has. So yeah, I think that covers a lot of what we discussed about.
Okay. So, I'm going to take this moment to wind down and do my little bit of shameless shilling at the end. Yeah, and to just talk about us. So, if you liked what you saw here today, if you like this world building, thank you. First of all, it's great. Very much so glad you enjoyed it. But please consider following the channel. We're one follower away from 350 followers, which would be really, really cool. And we are live every Monday and one other day. My work is really changing a lot of stuff right now, so hopefully it's Wednesday or Thursday. I will try and make it work. I will read Demon's messages. I have an artificer who at first thought he was making amazing creations, but they're all secretly mimics now. Instead of seeing the smiles of people they were just like they wished, now they're just surrounded by the gory blood splattered smiles of all the mimics they unintentionally became a catalyst to. Bet that's cool.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah. If you like this discussion of Starless, do you think it's okay to add like the? I'll let you know this. If you think this is a little bit too much of an announcement, I can leave it. But
I think that's a nice little tie into what we've talked about.
Okay, speaking of it, so if you'd like the Starless, as a thank you, Crimson, for putting Patreon in, we're doing D in December at the end of this month. Started next month, every week in the month of December, we're going to be releasing a subclass and a a race. And if you click on that link to go to the Patreon, we have a post up there now with 2 subclasses on it. But one of the sub races that we're going to be releasing is the Starless. And if you subscribe to the Patreon as well, you get access to our world anvil. So you'll have all the tools you need to start running your own game in setting if you so wish to. But if you want to play a Starless, from hearing about them so much today, we'll have all the mechanics in there. But Patreon has 3 tiers, which is the best way to support us, obviously. There's the $5 a month tier, which is all you're going to need for D in December. You'll get access to the 5 subclasses and 5 sub races, and 1 sub race, 4 races, I think. And thank you in the name of the Queen, Crimson. Thank you so much. Patreon's the best way to support us. The box lights do not run themselves. If we stop getting support, boom, look at this lighting, it's awful. But yeah, it is best. Or if you subscribe to the Twitch channel, you'd also get access to our world anvil. But to get the D in December, it does have to be the Patreon. That is the benefit of the Patreon.
Yes.
But
in the name of the Queen.
Exactly, in the name of the Queen. Thank you so much for hopping around today. Thank you to biggest affiliate, Baron the Rain, Reading Aloud, all the people who follow us today, all the downloads we got today, and all the gifted subs we got today. It's been a great old time. We really do love doing this, and yeah, we've got a big content push in December, and we're putting a lot of work into it. Obviously, a lot of time, and it'd be nice to see a bit of you know, feedback and support on that. So if you want to join us on Discord, Crimson's already got you in the chat there, putting in the Discord link. Join us on Discord, where we'll be able to talk about all the December stuff and all that stuff that comes out. We'll be talking about it as a group, and we've got many cool chats. Kyle's got his own channel now. It's Kyle's Box if you want to see his deranged self memes that just the inner workings of a madman's ideas. That's there too. Absolutely. Or if you want to see Queensguard, Lord of Chaos, Crimson is in the Discord. On that, we are. I don't know if I have anyone to raid. I think we're ending at an awkward time because we're doing this early because everything. Yes. So everyone I normally raid is offline. Does anyone have suggestions for people to raid? If not, we're just gonna have to end because I don't know who to raid.
There's no Evan.
Evan is not live for like an hour.
Yeah.
Twitch Prime. If you got Twitch Prime, use them. Crimson, thank you so much for the sub. If you want, hit me up on Discord, and I can get you added to the world anvil if you want to. If you want to read all about the world, it's in there, which is super cool. But Crimson, if you got someone to raid, let me know. Put the name in chat. Well, we can go and bother them. Okay, let's check this out. All right. But no, seriously, thank you so much for the sub, Crimson. We're a pretty small channel, and this means a lot. Like everything kind of adds up, you know. The running costs aren't non-existent, so we really appreciate it. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. This is like we do this with nothing but passion, and oh, they also hang out. Nice. Let's go see what this nerd is up to. So we're gonna go put our bye screen on. So bye. We'll see you on Monday, and we're gonna raid.
See you Monday.